Hello YouTube and welcome to my trailer breakdown of the Fire Emblem Engage trailer. Now before we get into the breakdown, I am just going to play the trailer for you to see in case you haven't seen it or you've only seen it once in the direct. It is always good to just take a look at it before trying to break it down. So, let that roll.
We live on the continent of Elyos. 4 realms surrounding a holy land at its center. 1,000 years ago, our lands endured a vicious war with the fell dragon. We called upon heroes from other worlds to aid us, heroes known as emblems. With them, the warriors of our nations fought as one. In the end, we were victorious in defeating and imprisoning the fell dragon. In the years since, our world has been safe. But now, I sense a resurrection. The binding weakens.
You're awake!
Huh?
You're really awake, yeah?
1,000 years? That's how long I've been asleep.
What are those horrible things?
If I may, you are a divine dragon, a member of a royal family of dragons revered as deities.
The war. The fell dragon. I feel like I can almost remember, but
I've had my eye on you.
the ring. Marth, right.
Sigurd, leave it to me.
It is rather quiet, I know, but it will liven up as we gain allies.
The time has come. Now, as one, Emblem, engage!
One strike will decide it all.
Please grant me your strength.
She asked me to gather all of the rings and bring peace back to Elyos.
Awesome, now that that trailer's over, let's get right in. Right off the bat, we see a bunch of past heroes surrounding the continent of Elyos, as well as 2 dragons. What appears to be the fell dragon, as we will see later in the trailer, and the white dragon could possibly be Naga. It also could be our main character, which we will get to shortly. Once we zoom in a little bit more, we can see in clear view a bunch of heroes. Going clockwise, starting at the very top, we got Marth from the first Fire Emblem game, Celica from Fire Emblem 2 and its remake, Sigurd from Fire Emblem 4, Leaf from Fire Emblem 4 and 5, Roy from Fire Emblem 6, Lyn from Fire Emblem 7, Erica from Fire Emblem 8, Ike from Fire Emblem 9 and 10, although he does seem to be going by his Fire Emblem 9 appearance, Micaiah from Fire Emblem 10, Lucina from Awakening, female Corrin from Fates, and lastly, male Byleth from 3 Houses. Out of these bunch, however, 3 of them, Sigurd, Ike, and Lucina, are all not using their typical weapons, as Sigurd is seen using a lance throughout the trailer instead of a silver sword or Tyrfing, Ike using his father's axe instead of Ragnar or sword, and Lucina using a bow instead of a parallel falchion or rapier. Celica also seems to be wielding a sword throughout this trailer. Although it does look like something is up with her other hand that's not holding the sword. Although that is most likely something else we will see very shortly. This also, however, brings into question if other prominent characters like Sheeta, Alm, Seliph, Julia, Finn, Lalina, Eliwood, Hector, Ephraim, Valencia, and among others in later entries as well, like the Three Houses leaders, whether they're going to be in this game at all. Also, Alphonse and Sharina from Heroes are also notably absent. Throughout this trailer, we only ever see the ones here, and in gameplay, we only see 5 of them as well, with an emphasis on 3 of them.
Surrounding a holy land at its center.
With the map itself, we got 4 lands surrounding a holy land at its center. To me, this sounds a lot like all the rest from Xenoblade 2, with the world tree in the center and all the various titans around. So are we going to be trying to get to this holy land? Are we starting at the holy land? And each of the other lands seem to have a unique biome as well. So we got a mountain biome, a desert biome, like a forest one. And the fourth one, I really can't see anything too unique about it. It seems kind of hilly, but it doesn't seem to have any unique standout features. Maybe it's a little bit more plains-like. And that one is at the top left. The Holy Land itself seems to be surrounded by either like tentacles, spikes, or even the bottom right even kind of looks a little bit like they could be skyscrapers. Leakers said there would be an aquatic village as well in this game, so I wonder if that's like what the water indentation in the Holy Land is. And with the mention of Holy Land, I think there's a pretty good chance they're going to have to deal with the church again, and I also do think that the game is going to start possibly in the Holy Land, but we'll get to that way later in the trailer.
1,000 years ago, our lands endured a vicious war with the Fell Dragon.
This Fell Dragon is noticeably very different from Grima was in Awakening. It seems way smaller and a lot more Cobra-like as well. Is it possible that this world is actually a fusion of different past Fire Emblem worlds, kind of like Xenoblade Chronicles 3 is? Or is it just a coincidence that both of them are called the Fell Dragon? It also could be possible that this does take place in the future of one of the worlds. So I do think that leaves a lot of questions of what it could be.
We called upon heroes from other worlds to aid us, heroes known as emblems. With them...
So here we get a little bit of a closer look at some of the emblems. Celica is seen using a sword again, and she seems fighting a monster that kind of has a pinkish color, which is kind of what it looked like was in her other hand in the earlier shot, so probably wasn't magic, it's probably just this. She does use both in Fire Emblem 2 and its remake, Shadows of Valentia, but it does seem weird to give her a sword and not magic, especially when a lot of other lords use swords. We also get a better look at a lot of the other emblems, which confirms what I think is the hardest one to distinguish, just because she's at the bottom of Erica, is this one makes it very clear that the bottom emblem was Erica.
Warriors of our nations fought as one. In the end, we were victorious in defeating and imprisoning the Fell Dragon.
Whoever defeated the Fell Dragon had the Emblem Rings themselves. Does that mean possibly that the emblems that helped defeat the Fell Dragon didn't deal a final blow and they just helped do it? Like, could this be our main character? Or can they each have their own ring to summon other ones? We'll know later in the trailer that each emblem has a separate ring, so this also just could be the ring that someone else wears to summon them as well.
In the years since, our world has been safe. But now, I sense a resurrection. The binding weakens.
So this could be a look at our main antagonist, as he looks very different from a lot of the other characters we see in this trailer. And also, the phrase, the binding seal weakens, this sounds like it could be something from Awakening with the sleep of Grima, that game's Fell Dragon wearing out, or even Rory's blade, which is, he has two, but later in the game is the binding blade itself. Could that be getting weaker as well? So is this possibly either Alib or Elyos / Arcanea in the future? Definitely possible. this is our very first look at our male toothpaste Chan and him grabbing a ring. Don't worry, we'll soon see in the trailer his real name, but he's fighting a dragon here. Is this a flashback or is it in the present? If I had to guess, this probably is in the present. But anyways, for the people that hadn't figured out this is Fire Emblem yet, the Fire Emblem music does begin to play at this point. This shot doesn't have too much, but it has the look of, most likely is a very important figure standing under a tree. We do see her later on in the trailer, but it's really only a close-up of this shot. So, we get to see the ring in action to summon Marth. When summoned, they have a spirity aura, it appears. And this is probably an early cutscene based on the details of the background and the environment. As we know from footage, we're soon going to see that Marth is in the early chapters gameplay-wise. And this does appear to be his first summoning. Pretty cool. And there it is, as the leak said, Fire Emblem Engage. So obviously a lot of people have extreme opinions already on this game with its one trailer. And like I said already, I'm not going to be going into an opinionated look at this game in the actual video itself. That being said, we got gameplay coming up and there's a lot to look at when it comes to gameplay.
You're awake!
So we got another white-haired girl here, and actually one standing next to her as well. I'm very positive that this is a different woman than we saw with the tree. If I had to guess, she is some kind of church member, since it seems that the playable character has been asleep for a long time, and she was there when he awoke. Maybe his awakening was predicted. Maybe the world was in trouble, and that's why he's waking up, kind of like happened with Tiki in Arcanea, an awakening of Tiki sleeping and then waking up when needed.
You're really awake, yeah?
1,000 years? That's how long I've been asleep?
And we get a look here again at some of the monsters. They very much resemble Vala soldiers. So it's very possible that the main antagonist is corrupting either the dead or maybe even summoning the dead. We also have a first look at the knight Vander, who we will see a little bit more of later, who I imagine is the giant of this game. For reasons we will see in the map very, very soon. This is also the knight that came from the leaked support images back over the summer. Map time! First of all, we got the name of our avatar this time around, and it seems to be Elir, which is very different from the summer leaks. If you're the translate, it got something like German. Diamond is also one that was kind of thrown around a bit, which is quite a bit different. Which means regional different character names is back. That was absent in Three Houses. Is all characters with Three Houses were the same name, both inside and outside Japan. I guess that was just the exception and not the rule. So on the map itself, though, we see what looks to be a village, and if you look at the mini map, also you see yellow spaces indicating that's enterable, which means villages are back. We also see a tower in the top that kind of looks a bit like an armory from past games, but most likely it's just a fortress. You'll see them more later, and hopefully I call them fortresses later. had to backtrack because I got stuff wrong on my first recording of this part. Matter of fact, I'll actually cover that now. If you look towards the bottom of the screen, you'll see icons on a lot of the units. When I first wrote my script and recorded this, the frame I used to analyze this shot was like 3 frames later, and you can't see that. What that is, and you'll see it again very soon, is the emblems equipped. So here we got what looks to be Marth, Sigurd, and Celica, all equipped. Those are the 3 you'll see most often throughout the trailer. As I kind of alluded to earlier, there's really 3 seen more than others gameplay-wise. Those are the 3. But if we just look at our party again, we've got axe calves, we got some colorless magic, colorless tomes, we got lance, sword, axe, archer, and a brawler. So brawlers are back. Also, based on the color coding, it is very easy to assume that the weapon triangle is back as well. Leaks, I'm pretty sure, mentioned it too. Although we will see later in the trailer that there's definitely some doubts on whether the weapon triangle is actually back or not. In the top right, we see the train. Obviously, here the train is just ground, so no effects or anything. If we look to the bottom right corner, we see a mini map, as I previously mentioned, that shows player placements, enemy placements, villages. There's some other thing we'll see later in the trailer as well. And now, if we look at the bottom, oh boy, you got a UI for when you select a unit. Let us see what we got. So on the left side, we got 2 different rows. The top seems to be kind of the alignment or position. The next to that is the class. I say alignment and or position is for enemies. It seemed to really just show their affiliation. But we get different results for players. Like, obviously, we got Dragon Child with a Lear, but we'll also get Noble later on with another character. So it's not necessarily just the affiliation. If we move a little bit over, we also get the level and the movement. So obviously this is an early game based on that level. But that's only 4 move. Which means most likely this game is gonna have smaller maps to compensate for less movement. Now if we go just below that, we got the equipped weapon and 4 more item slots. So obviously it shows the name of the equipped weapon, which seems to be a personal weapon of the Liberation. It may have potentially effects like the rapier does of cavalry and armor effectiveness, but I don't think it will. Again, it kind of go a little bit over that later. In the other inventory slots, it looks like you just have a vulnerary and something like an iron sword. So if we go even more right, now we just got the HP. Total HP and current HP, awesome. And we also have some more stats there. Like we got the physical attacks, how much damage you'll deal out, the hit, what your chances are of hitting before you take enemy stats into consideration, your unit's defense, your unit speed, their avoidance, the likelihood of avoiding attacks, and resistance. No attack speed, either it's hidden or just why not even exist? Like, it doesn't exist in Fire Emblem Awakening. And on the rightmost side, we got skills. It looks like there are, for the most part, 3 skills that a unit can have. Based on the icon that Alir has on his skill, it has 2 people, so I imagine this is probably something like Charm, or it possibly could be like Robin's base skill in Awakening as well, where they gain more XP if they have an emblem with them. And then just the map itself, that looks visually good. It to me does look better than 3 houses.
Well, thanks.
So the bad guys here are called corrupted, which I think definitely helps the argument that the villain is like corrupting the dead or something. There seems to be a speed debuff here, as it's red, which means if we look at the leak saying that weapon durability doesn't exist in this game, that means that most likely there's a good chance that the Fates item system, with how its debuffs work on stronger weapons, is going to be back. That being said, that is also only an iron weapon the enemy has equipped, so it could be caused by other forces, but there is no sign of weapon durability anywhere in this trailer. Here we got a pretty standard screen showing battle forecasts. Not a ton of info, but I imagine like most Fire Emblem games, there's probably a setting to make it more detailed for those who want the more detailed view.
If I may, you are a divine dragon, a member of a royal family of dragons revered as...
So we got another voice overlay here, so we know that Elyos is not just a dragon, but a divine dragon. Definitely explains the sleeping for 1,000 years. We also see another map here, and it's a forest this time. Again, it shows the pre-promote Vander. If you notice, he has a level 1 paladin, so he is a pre-promote. And since it's a level 1, that means most likely we're going to be going back to the classic leveling system, and not like what Genealogy of the Holy War and 3 houses have, where it just keeps going even after promotion. We get green units back there in the back, so green units are going to be back. And again, 6 move for a paladin. That is low, so again, movement's just going to be low all across the board. I imagine if boots are in this game, they'll probably only increase movement by 1. If you decide to move a unit next to an enemy and not just immediately click on the enemy to attack, you get a thing that pops up whether you want to attack or wait.
The war. The Fell Dragon.
So now we're back to the first map that we saw, and we got that armory castle tower looking thing. On top of it is an archer, who we haven't seen previously, on top of it taking out a flying enemy. 27 damage is dealt, and that is the highest number of damage we've seen so far. So I imagine that triple damage against flyers for bows is back. Also, again, I do think that these are forts, since you can just stand on top of them regularly. Makes sense to me.
I feel like I can almost...
So now we got a little bit more of a combat thing. New background of a more castly map, possibly. And we got what's called the Iron Body art. So this seems to be a combat art for Brawler, so I imagine combat arts are coming back. Also, we got a female character using it, so Brawlers can probably be female in this game. So maybe there's no gender-locked classes. We do, later on, see a Pegasus Knight, but it will be a female on top of it. So again, who knows if those are going to be gender locked or not. We also got a playable Armor Knight here, and it is important to note that this clip and the last one, we are not fighting the corrupted, but rather Elysian soldiers, which possibly could be name of troops for a country or kingdom of Elysium, which is the Greek name of the afterlife.
I've had my eye on you.
So here we get a look at a critical, but whew, that's a lot of damage for a Slim Lance, especially against the hammer. If there is a weapon triangle in this game, you're going against a weapon triangle there. So that's definitely possible there is a weapon triangle. I'm pretty sure the leaks did say that it was going to be there, but if you think back to the first clip with Elyos fighting, Elyos is a sword unit going against a lance as well. So is it possible that that they just went against it there? Is it possible that special items like slim lances and hammers actually reverse weapon triangles? Is there just no weapon triangle at all? And the background of the hammer is also green, which I'm assuming implies that it might be effective, in which case that means that the liberation is not effective against armor and cavalry like I originally thought. But it also could mean that the hammer is dropped. There's a lot of things that that green color could mean.
The ring. Marth! Right!
So we're, yet again, back to the first map. Same map that we saw in the first clip with a map. It also seems that you can equip various emblems whenever you want, just by changing out the rings. The real question is, how do we get them? Will it be a Xenoblade 2 style gacha? or it'll be more of a hero style gotcha. It's hard to tell. It's always possible that they are story progression based as well, as there's a line later in the trailer that hints that maybe they're obtained through the story. It's important that we have another party member here that has Celica equipped, but they do seem to be a lance user, which is a different weapon than Celica is seen using earlier. It's always possible that this could be a way around the weapon triangle, but our Pegasus Knight also didn't seem to have one equipped going against a possible weapon triangle, so again, there may not be a weapon triangle. Also, though, let's look at the UI changes now that Elyos has Marth equipped. It shows that there is a bond level on the left, as well as it seems to add a new inventory slot with a darker background color. This is, I'd imagine, Marth's item, which does appear to be a rapier. A bunch of stats are also now blue and are higher than the last time we saw a level 4 Elyos on this map, so stat boosts definitely happens. Marth also seems to have 4 skills that he adds on. There is an explanation for one of those, and actually a lot of things in the next place I'm stopping at.
Sigurd.
We got Sigurd. But anyways, this is what I was talking about previously with a lot of things that can be explained. First of all, we got names for skills here. Cantor, which is the proper translation of Canto, so it looks like Canto, at least in some form, is now a skill that maybe not everybody has. But there's also another skill called Gallop, so maybe Canto from like Yggdrasil and Elyos is like split in 2 parts, and only the base Canto is a part of Cantor and Gallop is the rest, or it could be something completely different. Maybe tied to like how in Heroes Brave Stealth has a mechanic where the further he moves, the more damage he does. It could be something like that. We also got a type bonus skill, and I imagine that is one of the reasons why Marth had 4 skills instead of what the UI shows to be a max of 3. Although later in the trailer we will also see an emblem with 5 skills. So who knows? But it does look like pairing a unit with an emblem of the same type. So like 2 lances, 2 swords. It looks like that does give benefits. This also confirms that emblems can raise different stats, but these are also different stats that were raised with Marth and Elyos. So it looks like the different emblems raise different stats. And we see all the basic stats here as well, that being strength, magic, dexterity, which is still replacing skill, speed, defense, resistance, and luck. No charm, so I think it's pretty easy to say that battalions are not returning and the emblem mechanic is replacing them. The rings on the right are also all different colors, so I imagine all emblems have different rings and you can easily change them out between characters. Although I imagine Bond is on a per character basis. And do take note that here Sigurd only has 3 skills, and there's also a bond of 1. That is important. We will be seeing more of that very soon in possible effects. So right off the bat, we get to see a lot in this next map. If you look at the mini-map at the bottom right, the top of it are red tiles. So this probably means that the Fed maps are back. We also see a whole 5 emblems deployed. Marth, Roy, Micaiah, Celica, and Sigurd. All of them appear to be paired with the same weapon type. And as I hinted at, Sigurd has more skills and even another item now as well. I see no indication of level ups for emblems, so I imagine this is entirely to do with bonding. The higher bonding you get, the more benefits they have. As both this one and the previous one had Alfred with Sigurd, who's also probably the Lance Knight that you can see in the very first clip on the map. The unit in the top left on this map appears to have a symbol below the brawling weapon that's either a torch or a staff, so maybe they have a status effect inflicted on them. Is stuff like sleep, silence, berserk, are those coming back? There are also glowing points on this map that could be, maybe they're teleporting things, maybe they're healing things. But it is important to note either way that they don't appear in the mini-maps, and it may also just be decoration. And ballistas are back. You can see a ballista in the lower center. So one of the new skills that Sigurd got is called Momentum. We do see a feature of Momentum later in the trailer, but it's also possible maybe that if a unit moves and attacks, they do more damage, just like Brave Self's effects in Heroes. But I don't think that's as likely, as we will see a main effect of Momentum soon. So this is another place from the leaked images. This is why I think we start in Holy Land, as this appears to be a church of some kind with a free roam. I wonder if we'll have multiple free roams in the game as opposed to 3 houses. Hopefully we don't have to go to the same one over and over and over again. And hopefully there's also less time there. It does look like on the minimap that we have a vendor, 2 armories, and a clothes shop, and we'll see a couple of the shops in upcoming clips as well. Not a whole lot to talk about. So, this is the same place that we were at previously in the church area, but now it's night. Photos did indicate that we were going to get different daytime things, so I do think that this confirms that. So, we get to change outfits. I really wonder if this is going to have stat benefits like it did in the first Xenoblade Chronicles game, or if this is just going to be a cosmetic thing. We did see the clothes shop on the minimap in the free roam area, so who knows, maybe there's actually importance here and they're just not telling us it in this trailer.
The time has come! Now, as one, Emblem, engage!
So, it seems here that units get to do some kind of fusion with their emblems. This does seem to be earlier in the game since Elyos only has 3 more HP. Again, like a lot of the previous clips, they're fighting Elysian soldiers here, and he has a Mercurius, one of Arcanea's regalia. Curious.
One strike will decide it all.
So this is most likely the feature of what Momentum does, which is essentially allows you to like bypass enemies when you attack them and go through them. Like I've mentioned, is that going to be the only effect, or will it do more damage if you're moving? And also, let me just say, map variety is really cool so far. So far, we've got a riverside town, a forest, a castle, and now a snowy area. That is great. Again, another fort in the background as well.
Please grant me your strength.
So the woman, who we will soon see is named Celine, it currently has Celica equipped as an emblem. I imagine that she is going to be a very important character. And this clip just is where I really got thinking of, are the emblems actually heroes from where they come from? Or do they remember this world they're in now? Do they remember these people? Do they change and grow? Are they going to have like character arcs? Or are they just like illusions or ghosts, kind of like the amiibo and Fates? Much like with Sigurd on this same map, Celine has 1 skill, Celica has 5 with 10 bond. She has both a tome, which we will later see as Ragnarok, and a staff in her inventory as well. I imagine this is either the same map or really close in the story at the same time where we first see the Elysian soldiers from earlier in the trailer. This also might be the same map where Marth and Elyos fusion, but the battle animations in this map do seem to have a slightly different background, so I imagine not. But I imagine they do take place pretty close together in the story. Another thing that I noticed while watching this scene, albeit later, is that Selena actually teleports to move, which is why she's able to go so far. It looked like she had some kind of ability that gave her the ability to warp in a certain area, and that's how she's able to get close enough to attack. Here in this clip, sorry for stopping this part so much, but there's just a lot to digest, but it looks like here that Celine actually loses an HP as she attacks, meaning that most likely the magic system in this game is going to work like Shadows of Valentia, which is the remake of Fire Emblem 2. It's only 1 HP, but between her being outside of battle and being in battle, I have no idea what could have done it. It is also fully possible that that what allowed her to warp, which is the warp Ragnarok, costed HP, and it's not actually the attack itself, and that was an art, but hard to tell. And here we are. This is actually a different red-haired knight than you see in the opening bit where they show a bunch of playable characters. Originally I thought they were the same one, but this guy actually has facial hair, where the red-haired knight in the opening montage of units before the Fire Emblem Engage logo does not. Anyways, this scene is outside the snow, outside a castle, and I assume that this castle is the same one we've seen a bunch of footage of. If I had to bet, I'd say the first map that we saw in the trailer is either the first or second map in the game. The forest map pretty soon after, maybe third or fourth chapter. Then I imagine we may get some kind of boat chapter or something like that, followed then by the snow map. Is I guess for some reason we're going to this castle, this kingdom, Elysian, the Elysian soldiers castle. So I imagine we go in the snow to fight to the castle, and then we get in the castle at some point. Then we have to defend against them, like sending reinforcements. That being said, this Red Knight, of course, does seem to be standing by what I believe are Elysian soldiers. I imagine he's a minor antagonist. Maybe he's even recruitable though. I don't know. So we got a much closer look at the woman under the tree. Definitely the same woman that we saw earlier in the trailer. Originally, I thought this was going to be Celine. But no, very, very different. The headdresses on both Celine and this character are extremely different. This is definitely the girl under the tree. Celine is not. So here's the major creepy bad guy from earlier in the trailer again, but he seems to be putting on an emblem ring. So just like how we had to fight against Pair Up and Fates and Gambits at Three Houses, it does make sense that we're going to be fighting emblems in this game as well. I wonder if it's going to be the same pool of characters that these emblems are, or if there's going to be more of the antagonistic characters throughout the Fire Emblem series, like maybe we got Gerard from Radiant Dawn.
She asked me to gather all of the rings and bring peace back to Elyos.
So we got a little bit of a text thing essentially saying that they need to gather all the rings to bring peace to Elyos. And we also see, while this is said, we see a giant background in the snowy area and the Fell Dragon rise again. So this is kind of what I was saying earlier of like, is it going to be a gacha mechanic, or is this story going to be kind of a fetch quest where we're getting all the rings? I myself am leaning toward the gacha and imagine this line comes really early in the game. But it is possible that the main plot is actually going to be getting these rings. It also appears that the two women on the left in the shot with the Fell Dragon are also the same ones that were in the room when Aaliyah woke up. And the trailer ends with the door being opened. Besides Marth and male Aaliyah, most of the characters on the art here were either seen in one tiny scene at the beginning of the trailer, or are female Aaliyah who we've only seen here and on all the leaks. Well, that is everything I got. Hopefully you have found this video to be very informative of what is in this trailer. Although it is very much the chances of me getting everything in this one trailer are very slim. It's just so much to look at. So if you find something that I missed, let me know down below, and if it's significant, I will definitely put it in a pinned comment, or pin your comments as well. Again, I know I want to know everything that's possible so far. Other people want to do that. Also, very clearly, I ignored opinions as much as possible. If you want to know my opinions on this reveal, I will talk for ages. I just don't want to do it in the video here, because people are here to be informed, not to, of like what there is in the game, not to be like, oh, this looks good, this looks bad. They just want to know straight up. But if you want to know how I feel, go ahead and ask below. I have opinions. There are things I think look really good. There's things that I don't think look as good. Anyways, though, I will see you next time. Thank you for watching.